Today's a scary day for me because the main thing I'm doing is deleting stuff on my computer. I love the feeling of a really nice, clean hard drive and computer and all that stuff, but I'm terrified of doing the cleaning. So like formatting and reformatting a computer, I hate it because the idea of losing something, like I'm kind of a hoarder. So just to show you the extent of my hoarding, aside from, you know, the hoard, I have, oh, wrong drawer, is this one. In this drawer I have like categorized by year all of the main artworks I did since I was 11. So this is from when I was 11. I did, to be honest, all the good ones like this and that. I actually sort of copied them. So when people ask me like if it's okay to, you know, copy or trace art, like I say go. I just say make art. Like seriously, like this was almost entirely copied, but this was original. Obviously, there's a bit of a difference in quality, but you know, at the end of the day, I was learning things, and it doesn't matter. Like I was just having fun. Again, this was sort of like half copied. It's funny looking back at this, sort of realizing how around about 50% of the art I did was sort of copied. Moving on to when I was 13, 14. So this is my comic strip that at the time I was determined would end up in a newspaper. So that was my goal at the time, was to become a newspaper comic artist. That was a character design actually for the first cartoon I ever did on Newgrounds that got put on the front page. So, upside down, but more comics. And this was my prized drawing book. This is where I put the best of the best. A centaur and a dragon and a mermaid. Well, you know, as you can see, this was right around the time I was struggling with drawing women. An orc of some kind, and an elf of some kind, and a demon of some kind, and a knight of some kind, and a knight of some kind, and a almost naked knight of some kind. Wow. There we go. Okay, so I think right around this time I recognized that I had weaknesses with drawing women, and I would come back and try and learn to draw them and practice them, but they never turned out quite how I wanted to, so I usually sort of ended up going back and drawing other stuff for ages and trying girls every now and then. I didn't actually draw this. This was drawn by a family friend who worked for Disney, and this was like one of my prized possessions. He didn't let me keep the original, but he photocopied it. He said to me that I think, again, I was like 13, but he said, after looking at my artwork, wow, you're really good, you're going to be better than me someday. And I was like, no way. Now, I'm going to be honest, I look at this and I still don't feel like I'm better than him. But someday, maybe I'm working towards it. But it's the simple things, isn't it? It's the way that someone with an experienced hand can draw the anatomy and the stylistic aesthetics of characters just so effortlessly. So anyways, I think I still aspire to be as good as him. Now, obviously, I did have sketchbooks that I didn't end up keeping, that just had scribbles, but these were all the things that I was proud of that were either concept art for things that I, you know, worked on. For example, this is the Paladin folder. This is all of the concept art for the Paladin series that I did, where I came up with the character designs for these random characters and stuff. In fact, I think this is the storyboard to Paladin Episode 1. It is. Jesus, I didn't even know I kept stuff that far back. Well, obviously, I'm a hoarder. This one's interesting because this was before I actually animated anything. And I think I was designing the character. I wanted to make the Paladin. And but I think I was trying to make something really sort of a cutout style so I could reuse assets, and with a really simple approach so it'd be easy to do. And I ended up being a bit more ambitious than that, and made something a little more in that style. And this is a bunch of sketches from when I was, how old was I in year 12? I think I was 16 to 17 years old. I graduated high school at 17 because I was right at that age threshold where you could either go in too young or too late. So My mum ended up putting me into young, which I didn't mind. I liked graduating early. But this is interesting. Again, I had a lot of different inspirations at the time, like Christopher Hart, and it was also around the time I got that Art of World of Warcraft book. So anyways, I digress, and I am probably just, you know, delaying the inevitable deleting things on the computer process. So in the background I have my hard drive compressing so I can archive a whole bunch of old stuff. But in the meantime, I am working on cleaning up my Premiere workflow. So previously, all of the folders and all of the organization was just so messy from more than a year's worth of just, you know, 2 to 3 videos a week, just crammed full. So I've cleaned this all up, reorganized everything so it won't get as messy again, hopefully. And it's just a fresh start. And I try and do this around once a year. So this is totally out of the blue. Sometimes something happens that I see or that I, whatever, and it just fires me up and I need to get something out. This has come about from a video Bailey J actually put out very recently, essentially, somewhat controversially, I guess, saying art block doesn't exist and giving a very blunt opinion, essentially denying excuses as being valid in stopping making your artwork work. And on Twitter, I actually tweeted out the link to the video, and just because I thought it was great, I thought it was a good point. And then I saw this, and I just was blown away. In the comments, and just by obviously looking at that like to dislike ratio, which by the way is the barometer of how a YouTuber feels their audience is reacting to their content, I was blown away because it's obvious to me that people don't like some of the harsher truths of making it in an industry, in particular an artistic industry. And the artistic industry is pivotally focused on your emotional well-being. If you obviously are going through some problems, whether it be depression and things like that, then absolutely there are you know, things that need to be addressed, and that's a difficult struggle people go through. But this video isn't talking about that. This video is talking about excuses. I don't feel like drawing today. I don't feel inspired. I don't feel like creating content, or I am out of the flow or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, that's the point of the video, right? Like, seriously, I'm gonna put a link to this video in the description. Can you all please go like it or something? Because I made a video ages ago on my channel, essentially called What It Takes. Do you have what it takes to be an artist? Where I tried to not sugarcoat it, but I think inevitably I do, because I know I'm dealing with emotional people. I'm an emotional person, but I honestly think that passing that threshold and being able to face the hard truths is a hugely important and pivotal rite of passage to making it in a self-sustained, self-made industry. And I'm just sort of baffled that people aren't seeing that in the video. I guess there was a comment that she made at the end that says, and if that doesn't work for you or something like that, in fact, I'll play it for you.
If you actually like making art and you actually want to improve, then you'll do it. If not, maybe you just don't like art as much as you thought you did.
I think there's a misinterpretation about the message of this video and some of the people who are receiving it. The message of this video is aimed at people who want to get somewhere with their art, right? They're trying to earn an audience, pay the bills, do something with their art, and aren't doing it, and wondering why they can't do it and blame it on something. This video is not aimed at people who like drawing. Like, if you like drawing, draw when you like to draw. But this video is talking about, essentially, if you want to get something done, just do it. Just do it. I just needed to get that off my chest and vent a little bit, because I'm going to give you the honest to God, unsugarcoated truth. It's fucking hard. Like, it's really, really hard. But you just can't stop, because if it is who you are, it is your passion, and It is part of you. If it was just me, I would be doing this till the day I died, whether I made $1 from it or not. Like 10 years before I could successfully pay my bills with YouTube or with my products or with any of these amazing opportunities I'm so grateful to have and do not take for granted. Before any of that was a decade of doing this every day. I'm getting emotional. Like, I mean, I showed you my artwork this morning. This is 10 years that I've professionally attempted. It's more than 10 years since I was 11 years old and started and just never stopped. You just don't stop. And if you want to get somewhere, you can't look at the hurdle and say, well, that's a bit too high for me. Guess I better just chill out here because this is my block. That's the point of the video. If you want to get somewhere, just go. In that space of 10 years that I was attempting to make a living out of my art, it was more than just a roller coaster. I lost friends and I ruined projects because of inexperience, but I kept going. I nearly lost my house because I got a mortgage before I should have. And then couldn't sustain it, but I was in the flames and I kept going and didn't stop because, you know, like you can't let these mistakes stop you and wear you down. Everyone makes them, and you can't let these lacks of inspiration or emotional turmoil be an excuse to not get to the place that you know you want to be. And I may go downhill on my little roller coaster now. Like, I'm so lucky I can pay the bills with my wife and child, but it may not last forever. And I'm aware of that. And I'm ready to fight that fight for as long and as hard as I can, because I know, again, till the day I die, that I will do everything I can to do what I'm doing and look after my family. And since I have a family, that's the only thing I will compromise on my goals for. And that's the only thing that's changed in that last 10 years is I gained people more in my life that were more than me, that I will prioritize above myself and those dreams. But they'll always be there, you know, like even if everything went downhill and I had to give up my YouTube channel and profession, I would go work at Kmart and then I would work in the evenings, or I would do weekend stuff, or I would take something, I would do side jobs. It's always there. It's part of who I am, whether it's easy or not. And that's the point of it. Just don't stop. Just keep doing it, whether you feel like it or not. I obviously got distracted from organizing everything on my computer, and I'm going to get back to that. So I'm sorry for the sidetrack and the random rant, but I just needed to get that out of my system because that was eating at me. I was like, seriously, people want to look at the iceberg and see the surface of it and think, I want to be that, and not see 90% of what it took to build that iceberg, you know? So honestly, I hope you guys can back me up and go over there and show some support, because yeah, I was sort of shocked. I sort of thought better of the artistic community to sort of realize it's hard. Sometimes you got to face those truths. So anyways, who knows? Maybe you guys will, you know, be upset at me for saying this sort of stuff, but it's the reality, guys. I'm sorry. I am way too distracted. I'm going to get back to work. So if you haven't heard of this tool before, I don't know what you call it other than WinDirStat, but essentially it's Windows Directory Statistics. And you can select any drive. So for example, my files drive, I can hit OK and it'll munch through all the information. And then it spits back a grid that looks like this. And all of these little blocks are proportionate to everything else here, a chunk of file size. And you can click on any of them and I can see that this file is this such and such video file, 4 gig in such and such a folder. So you can essentially see where the biggest blocks of things are, and in here you can click a folder and you can see all of those things contained inside that folder. So on this hard drive, this Tale Tellers folder is taking up a huge chunk of it, which I can't delete because that is my next big project that I'll be working on and releasing later this month. So that's going to stay until I finish that project. But you get the idea. It's a really useful tool to sort of figure out how you can cut the fat. And it's amazing because if you feel like your hard drive's getting full, you can just run a scan on the hard drive and you'll find like 4 or 5, like 10 plus gig files that just don't matter that you can get rid of. So here's an extreme example for you. There's a folder here called Games. Loads and loads of little files that take up over a third of the hard drive space. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't played a single one of them in a very, very long time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to delete my games. What have I become? You can delete inside the program, by the way. You ready? Ready? No way to undelete. Bam! It's okay, I have a different computer in the sound studio that has Dota 2 on it. And that's all I need. That's the only game I've played in the last 5 years. I haven't played it for about a year though. This is what I was talking about! This is what I meant with the Bailey video thing! I don't play games, I love games. But I'm working really hard. Here's a nice practical example for you. Anyways, back to work. So I'm all done for the day. My main file backup thingies are still archiving, but all the organization is done and it feels so neat and clean and organized, which is delightful. Look at all this free space. Look at all this free space. Every single one of these was in the red, like an inch away from being full. Ooh, it's touch enabled. I guess it is. Cool. So, question of the day is going to be sort of taken from a comment of the day from Dexter D. Lopez, who says, "Geez, Jazza, that whole setup must have cost you a fortune," referring to all the stuff. The 10-year thing that I'm referring to includes this, you know. So, like, in the context of the idea of me having all of this stuff as of last week, then yes, that would be a ludicrous and very big immediate investment. But the reality is, like, that monitor I got like 2 years ago for a birthday present, and I got that top-down camera last week, which was like a business decision that I consulted with my wife about. The tablet I actually got sent to me from WACOM for doing the review and things like that. So, like, incrementally you sort of build up your assets as well, but it's over a very long period of time. So anyways, I know it wasn't a question, but I just thought it'd be interesting to add a little context to that sort of thing as well, you know, because I guess the theme of today's video is it's easy to look at the final product and the final work setup that someone's working with and to not see that long-term process. And I just wanted to help you guys all sort of get that it's a very long-term process. And yes, I've talked about how hard it can be, but it's incredible. If this is the sort of thing you live and breathe and you work hard and you get there, it's incredible. It's hard work, but it's amazing. And I wouldn't want anyone to not try it if that is who they were. So whoever you are, if that's you, I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. And before I forget, one final reminder to the Fed Square event tomorrow. Links are in the description, but if you're like a Melbourne local, come along. It's a free art gallery, 18 and up, and I'm going to be there from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the atrium. So come say hi and see cool art and check out WACOM stuff. Anyways.